Being a male is a matter of birth. Being a man is a matter of age. Being a great man is a matter of choice.
True manliness is tender and loving. False manliness, cold and hard.
In your life, be an agent for good.
My background's in policing. I spent 30 years in policing. My last 8 years, I was a chief inspector with our violence reduction unit. Sort of after about 15, 16 years police service, I started to get quite frustrated, thinking to myself, am I really making a difference? Am I really preventing things? Policing is very good at responding to situations, but are we always best at preventing things in the first place? And I was arresting men and individuals back in the 1980s, and I was arresting their children in the 90s and 2000s, and even the grandchildren later in life as well. 2010, I met a guy, a friend of mine now, Jackson Katz, who is a big educator in the US on this topic. He said to me, you're a senior police officer, but as a man, what are you doing to prevent violence? And that, it's like being punched in the face. I never thought about it that way.
Statistically, the vast majority of sexually violent acts are perpetrated by men.
It seems like, us women have been talking about this for years and no one seems to be listening. So I wondered whether it's time for you guys to stand up and speak loudly.
We do need the men champions. We have to court the men champions.
I do believe sports can increase the amount of gender-based violence. For instance, a prime example, recently the Euros. It is literally a statistical fact that domestic abuse goes up when England lose. And I think it is that built-up frustration, that built-up rage, obviously from the match. If they lose or draw, they then go home and they let off that steam in another way.
So one of the things that we know about violence towards women and girls is that it follows a line, a spectrum almost of behaviour. So it starts with very small actions that are embedded into our daily lives. So that might just be comments about appearance, what's often called banter and jokes. And it goes all the way through, builds, and ends at the end with the most violent actions that men can take against women and girls, like murder or rape.
With rugby as well, especially, there's a lot of rugby banter. So obviously, like, you'll go out to the pubs afterwards. If your friends are being horrible or someone's being horrible to a woman, just think about what that woman could be going through.
I'm a man, I don't commit violence. I don't abuse people. I don't harass people. What's it got to do with me? And it was almost like he just planted a seed in me, which started to, I suppose, grow over time, and we start to look at violence through a lens of public health. We start to look at the spread of violence and how we need to interrupt it. And, part of my response was looking at the role of bystanders, the role of third parties who see things. We know that in upwards of 70% of harmful incidents, friends, colleagues, teammates, classmates, we see things. We witness the build up to it. We also witness the aftermath. And it really got me thinking, imagine a society where we train people to notice things. And how do we just stop it in the first place? How do we keep our streets safe for me, for my wife, for my daughters, for my grandchildren in the future?
I was when I was younger, wolf whistled.
Yes, maybe 40 years ago.
I walked the dog in my gym shorts and had like a honk and a whistle out the car.
Yes.
Yeah, there's been many times where you're walking in gym clothes.
Yes.
Yes, from as young as 12.
The way I look at it is, if that was my daughter, I would never, ever want to put them in a situation like that or want them to go through something like that. Or take a step back and really take in the whole picture, rather than just thinking, oh, my team lost today, I'm going to go home and just be really stressed and annoyed. But okay, let's just chill out. Let's take a minute. And I think having that voice in your head almost to remind yourself of what you are, where you are and what you're doing.
I had keys in my hand.
Put keys between my fingers to make a weapon, faked a phone call.
Locking my car door when I'm driving.
My live location is shared.
I'd keep looking backwards. I'd have my phone with me.
Location, especially in Ubers.
I share my live location.
I pretend I'm on the phone to someone or make sure I'm not alone, or I have my keys in between my knuckles.
I talk about this a lot, but my eldest daughter, Jenny, was walking home to her halls at university. Thankfully, I say with a friend, because that makes a big difference for me. This guy had tried to attack them both. Thankfully, they managed to get away. But that was a wake-up call for me. I feel quite ashamed to say that. But it really made me think of the offender, who the person was. And they look just like any guy. They're not people with horns on their heads and smoke coming out their mouth. They're just men. What they do is monstrous, but they're not monsters.
I'd feel much safer walking to my car in the dark, early hours in the morning.
I would go for a walk late at night. I'd have as much to drink as I liked, and I wouldn't worry about getting home.
Walking the dog on an evening, which I wouldn't do now when it's dark.
Probably go for a walk in the dark. I would go on a night out with my friends.
Go out late at night.
I just wouldn't have to think.
I would wear a bikini and I would feel fantastic.
I would wear whatever I wanted to without feeling threatened or objectified.
So I got a chance to work with the Violence Reduction Unit in 2009 until 2017. And it really transformed, the lens that I had to one of reacting to prevention. I think for me, focusing on men as part of the solution is really important. Most men in the UK don't commit violence. Fact, total fact. We know that. But a lot of us are unaware of how our silence creates that situation where there's some people, some men in particular, feel entitled. They feel they've got that permission from us to behave in certain ways.
White Ribbon is part of a global movement. And it's linked to the United Nations and the work that they do towards ending violence against women and girls. And it's all about engaging men and boys to work towards ending violence against women and girls. And that's because we don't think it's the responsibility of women and girls to stop violence. It's the responsibility of men.
Men in corporate settings have a very important role to play in safeguarding women and preventing violence against women. It starts from raising awareness So becoming aware of what women go through and appreciating what it is to be a woman in a corporate setting. And then going beyond just the awareness and translating that into action and not just playing a passive role, actively participating in improving the situation at work.
We're working really hard to make some changes at the bottom end of the spectrum to try and make sure that we get to a place where everyone has an equal, healthy relationship, where men and women feel comfortable with being equal.
What advice I'd give to other men in the industry is basically, first of all, listen, learn, be respectful, especially in this music industry. Women's been really underrepresented. Women, I'd say, also call out things such as sexism, promote gender equality, call out anything such as harassment as well, and literally just put more women in positions of power and leadership. I think just giving them that platform to allow their skill set to shine would be amazing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
My dad gave me his season ticket for Birmingham City. I didn't go because of getting there and getting home on my own.
Yes.
There's been a few times.
Yes.
Yes.
Women should feel safe and also have the right opportunities to ensure that there's a right diversity of thinking in every single business. So there's some practical steps that can be taken to mitigate this situation. For example, selecting venues that are safe to access, that are well connected through public transport. Does it have to be an event outside work, or can it be in lieu of a working day if it is that important for the business strategically? If engagement is a priority, could it be a lunchtime event? If does it have to be an evening event?
Most men care. Most boys and men really care about this topic, but maybe it's invisible to them. I need to make it visible to them, and I need to not shame them and not to confront them. I just need to give them the tools and the strategies to do this work as well.
Young men do not have to grow up at risk of abusing women. In fact, young men can and should grow up to be partners in ending violence against women.
We need more men who have the courage and the strength to start standing up and saying some of this stuff and standing with women, not against them.
In your life, be an agent for good.